This is a sports catastrophe production. Hey there, Heather, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome to another sports catastrophe. Birthday boy. I know it's been a while since I've done a birthday boy, but here it is. This guy is an iconic pitcher who did die last year, October 2020. He was a legend for the St. Louis Cardinals, and he only played for the St. Louis Cardinals. He was named as Gibby, or Hoot. Bob Gibson pitched well, over 250 wins, over 3,000 strikeouts, and a good ERA. A 9-time All-Star, 2-time World Series champ, and the MVP of the 1968 season, which was kind of awkward. I'll tell you why. Won a couple of Cy Youngs. He was inducted to the Hall of Fame in 1981 in his first year of eligibility. The Cardinals retired his number 45 just after he retired, and inducted him into the Team Hall of Fame in 2014. A little too long, don't you think? But Bob Gibson actually surprised a lot of people. He actually was part of the Harlem Globetrotters basketball team for a time being. And then he decided to play baseball with St. Louis full time. And that helped a lot. So anyway, Gibson went to Creighton University in Nebraska. And Gibson was given a bonus to sign with the Cardinals. Remember, the draft didn't start in baseball till the 60s, so he decided to. He played 1 year with the Globetrotters, but because of long travels, many doubleheaders in basketball, he decided to stave off it and become a baseball player. So the Cardinals assigned him to the big leagues and started the 1959 season. He started as a relief pitcher. He became a starter July 30th and got his first major league win. Bob Gibson had a bad season in 1960. He was 3-6 with a 5.61 ERA. Gibson went to Venezuela and all that. Unfortunately, his first manager, Sully Hamas, had some racist overtones towards Bob Gibson and Lou Curt Flood. However, when Johnny Keane became manager in 1961, he changed a lot. Keane was actually Gibson's manager on the minor league affiliate, and it was a positive professional relationship. And Keane thought that Gibson deserved to be in the starting pitching rotation full time, and he did pretty well for himself. But what people don't know is that Bob Gibson started a civil rights movement to make all players live in the same clubhouse and hotel rooms and not segregate between colored and white athletes. And the Cardinals were the first sports team to end that segregation 3 years before Lyndon B. Johnson signed the legislation in 1964. Gibson pitched pretty well for himself. He got a 200 strikeout season for the first time in 1962. He had an ankle injury and all that. But anyway, Gibson did very, very well for himself. In 1964, the St. Louis Cardinals were fighting tooth and nail with the Philadelphia Phillies for the National League title. Remember, in those days, you had to win the league to get to the playoffs, aka the World Series. The Cardinals were 11 games back of the Phillies by August 23rd, and by September 21st, they were 6.5 back. But a combination of a 9-game Cardinals winning streak and a losing streak by the Phillies brought the season down to the final game. The Cardinals needed to beat the New York Reds. Gibson just pitched fantastic. 2-hit relief, and the Cardinals easily won over the Mets. Sure, it's the Mets. Now, of course, what I say is that the Phillies in 64 choked it. Mostly because Gene Mauch went for the jugular and used a 2- or 3-man rotation to try to get the division. I mean, to get the lead, but they fucked everything up. Gibson was up against it in the 64 World Series. He faced Mel Stoudemire for 3 of the series' 7 games. Gibson lost Game 2, but won Game 5. Game 7, on 2 days rest, he faced the the Yankees. And despite a few hiccups, the Cardinals did win the game 7-5. Gibson did manage to get the final out of the game, which was good. Gibson looked fantastic and all that. Bob Gibson had a major injury in July 1967 when Roberto Clemente hit a line drive off his leg. Gibson had to miss some time, but by September, he was back, and the Cardinals crushed the National League pennant. In 1967, it's the World Series against Boston. Bob Gibson pitched games 1, 4, 7, and he only gave up 3 runs in those 3 complete game victories. So that was huge. Only giving up 3 earned runs, tying Christy Mathewson's 1905 mark. Gibson pitched a complete game victory in Game 7, just like 64, which he faced Jim Lonberg, who was looking good. Unfortunately for the Red Sox, Gibson was good. Not just on the mound, but freaking, he hit a home run in that game, too. So, he won World Series MVP. But 1968 was kind of awkward. It was called the Year of the Pitcher because of the way the mound was. Like, lower that Kirk Gibson could see what's his target and all that. No, I think the mound was lowered. Sorry. Yeah, the rule changes. So they lowered the pitcher's mound from 15 inches to 10 inches so that they could see what the pitcher was throwing more so than not. Gibson's ERA was 1.12, a live ball era record, as well as the major league record in pitching more than 300 innings. It was the lowest since Dutch Leonard in 1914. Gibson would throw 13 shutouts, 3 short of the record. Gibson looked pretty hot and all that. Gibson would become the last National League pitcher to win the MVP until Clayton Kershaw did it in 2014. So Denny McLain won the AL MVP for the Tigers. So both MVP guys were pitchers, and that's the only time in history that's happened. Ironically enough, the Tigers would face the Cardinals in the World Series. And especially with the fact that the 68 Cardinals had one guy who hit 300. And the team leader in home run and RBIs were 16 and 79 respectively, which is kind of low. Gibson lost a pair of 1-0 games. And Don Drysdale, this was the year that he had 6 straight shutouts and 58 plus scoreless innings. That streak wouldn't be broken till Oral Hershiser did it. Anyway, game 1 of the World Series, Gibson struck out 17 Tigers to set a World Series record for strikeouts in one game, which still stands today. And in the era of the starters not really pitching 9 innings, we'll never see that happen again. In fact, he struck out 1 batter in each inning of a World Series game. The only other person who did that was Ed Walsh of the 1906 White Sox against the Cubs. Anyway, Gibson did give up a hit to Mickey Stanley, but then he struck out Kaline, Cash, and Horton in succession. It was amazing. It was a fast. Tigers outfielder Jim Northrup said, "We were fastball hitters, but he blew the ball right by us, and he had a nasty slider too." Gibson would pitch Game 4 at Tiger Stadium and crush the Tigers 10-1, and then he was ready for Game 7, looking for his 3rd Game 7 win, and all that against Mickey Lolich, and it was a tight race. In the top of the 7th, Gibson looked good, getting 2 straight batters, but he gave up 2 singles. And then Jim Northrup hit the famous 2-run triple over Curt Flood's head, which basically ended Curt Flood's career in St. Louis as he was made a GOAT. And the Tigers came back from 3-1 down to win the World Series. However, baseball decided to change things. they decided to lower the pitcher's mound from 15 inches to 10 inches for the 69 season and reduce the height of the strike zone from the batter's armpits to the jersey letters. So aside from those rule changes, there was cultural influences that impacted baseball. Because 9 members of the 68 World Series roster didn't report by the first week of spring training due to contract problems. Gibson had said that the Major League Baseball Players Association had suggested players strike before the upcoming season began. Gibson had no contract worries because Augie Bush, the team owner, agreed to a big salary for Gibson. Gibson did okay in 69. He was 20-13 with a 2.18 ERA, 4 shutouts, and 28 complete games. Lower numbers than the 68 season, but he still did pretty well. Gibson would put up 23 wins in 1970 to win the NL Cy Young. And he was a decent pinch hitter for his team. He actually had 24 home runs in his career in the regular season and 2 in the World Series. Amazing. Bob Gibson finally got a no-hitter in his life. He no-hit the Pittsburgh Pirates at Three Rivers Stadium in August of 1971. It was amazing. It was the first time that a no-hitter was thrown in Pittsburgh since Nick Maddox in 1907. And the ironic thing is that, in 1907, it's like, wait, wasn't there another Three Rivers Stadium was around for that long? Nope. Forbes Field, the famous site where Mazeroski hit his home run, had no pitcher threw a no-hitter. Not a Pirate, not an opposing pitcher. This was kind of weird. Gibson decided to retire at the end of the 75 season, but unfortunately, he went out with a thud, 3-10 with a 5.04 ERA. However, Gibson will still be remembered as one of the best intimidating pitchers of all time. Even Tim McCarver, his personal catcher, said as much. Anyway, Gibson wouldn't serve in baseball until accepting a coaching job with Joe Torre, who was manager of the Mets. He was made the attitude coach. But Bob Torre, after being canned by the Mets and moving to Atlanta for the 82 season, decided to give Bob Gibson a chance to be his pitching coach. And Atlanta ended up winning the NL West and were in the NLCS for the first time since 1969, but lost, ironically, to the Cardinals. Gibson would turn out to be a pitching coach for a while. He was a father to 3 children. Unfortunately for Bob Gibson was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer and needed chemotherapy. Unfortunately, he lost the fight of pancreatic cancer after more than a year and died on October 2nd, 2020, exactly 52 years after pitching that famous Game 1 that he got 17 Tigers to whiff. Kind of sad, don't you think? How ironic it is. Anyway, 251 wins in his career. Not bad. He holds some records. Most records in a World Series game, 17. Earned run average in a single season, 1.12. Gold gloves for pitchers, 9 consecutive gold gloves. With 9 consecutive gold gloves as a pitcher. And leading the NL in shutouts 4 times in the live ball era. So Bob Gibson was a pretty intimidating pitcher. And, he's a star. And I liked his pitching prowess and all that. And you should too. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.